Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Good to see you again, and today we've got a bit of an interesting video. We're going to be going over a new tool for the One Piece community to use that is made by Odyssey Gaming, and they actually created something pretty interesting here. I will say, though, full disclosure before we go into it, this is not made public just yet. It's going to be made public in about a week's time, but it's also in kind of a beta, situation right now. They're still making a lot of, background things for this. It's also, just trying to make sure that when it does come out for people to use, that they can get, the right usage out of the tool itself. But, I got to experience and try out a little bit of the tool, pre it being made public. And I will say it's pretty neat. We've got a couple of features here, but the first one we're going to start with is the TCG player pricing tool. So this is just a nice way for you, there's so many cards on One Piece, and when you're searching through TCG player, it can be a bit of a hassle. And then trying to calculate, what's 80, 85, 90% TCG player, whatever you might be buying, whether it's through local, you're buying it off of somebody locally, you're buying it off of like one of those trade forums on either Facebook or Reddit, maybe through X, you might be purchasing something and you want to, try and calculate the price. This is kind of a one-stop shop for all of that, which is really nice, and it's also got a lot of other information. But going over the pricing tool, it gives you a couple options here if you want to search the card's name. So for example, we'll type in Shanks, right? I can look up the different Shanks cards, which one I want to particularly go for, whether I want to do maybe just the leader, right? I want to do the leader's parallel right there. Or I might want to look up the Shanks alternate art of the 10 drop, right? So I can look up the 10 drop, and now I can have both of these here, and I can take a look at their prices, what their low price might be right here, what the 80, 85, 90% price of TCG player. So it kind of breaks down all that information for you, which is really nice. And if you want to verify that, verify that the $26.99 is the low, I can click on the TCG player link. It'll bring it up over here, and now I can scroll down and I can see, okay, perfect. This is correct, barring shipping, of course, but this is correct as it was listed. And I can see that, this is what I would be looking to pay for such a card, or potentially sell a card if you're, in the market of selling these. This tool just makes it a little bit easier for having that. Now, if you wanted to add, a bunch of cards, but maybe you might know, this is kind of a weird circumstance, but maybe you just know the card number versus the card name. By chance, it gives the example of OPO4019 here, so I can actually just exit out of those Shanks cards, and let's just do OPO4019, right? So now I can bring up the Don Quixote Doflamingo from OPO4, the leader. It gives you both examples of the card, whether it's the parallel, the alternate art version of it, or just the regular version selling for 2 cents. But I can take a look over this, low price being 57. If I want to go to the TCG player, I can verify that, right? And now this is one thing that I have seen with this program that is a little bit iffy. Sometimes it'll work a little differently depending on the card, but you see how the first listing is Japanese, so it'll say $42. So if we go back over, it's saying the low price is 57. So for this example, it didn't particularly bring up, whoops, wrong page, bring up the Doflamingo Japanese version. But if I go back through, there was one card that I ended up kind of finding, and I think it was Teach, that when I looked up the Marshall D. Teach leader, and it says low price is 44. If I go back to the URL, I can see that the lowest price is 44, but it was a Japanese listing of it. So the lowest English is going to be at $46. So yet again, this isn't beta. There are some kinks that need to be worked out, but at the same time, I mean, realistically, that's not their fault as much as it is like TCG players' fault for having English listings with Japanese listings underneath it. So until we get a filter system on TCG Player that does kind of break that down and split the two languages into, you know, different selling like product points on here, it's unfortunately just what it is. But I did like this as far as being able to check the price, seeing the 80, 85, 90% price points listed out for you automatically. Thought that was really nice. Do I know what like the background is on exactly why the low price is certain numbers? I don't particularly. I know that it might take an average of certain cards. But I do find it very interesting that, you know, I'm able to go through and just like find all the cards in one place and just kind of look over, you know, what numbers are going to be realistic for that. Now, there is another feature here that I thought was this is really interesting. I think this is a feature that I would personally use more in the future, the closer we get to big announcement dates, and that's the spend report. I think spend report kind of blew my mind for a little bit because I was like, why are some of these cards being bought? But it actually pulls from all the data of all the purchases from TCG Player, and it shows what cards are being purchased the most as far as singles by total amount spent and singles by quantity purchased. So this can kind of show a lot of data on trends in like what is being popularly purchased as of recent. So I'm going to set a start date of, we'll just go to the beginning of this week, so the 13th to the 18th, right now being Saturday. And the most popular card right now being sold is Darishi, which is really interesting and kind of random. I don't know if there was maybe some sort of announcement that like Robin was getting some love, or maybe people have really been falling in love with the deck. But apparently, Darishi, and we'll look at this really fast, the OP09117, I can go to the pricing tool, and I can look up OP09117. I'll hit enter, and this is the 3-cost event that Nico Robin does play, allowing them to add 2 cards with trigger to their hand. So pretty interesting that this has been selling quite a lot, you know, going back to those spend reports. Like I said, there's 631 sales of this card on TCG Player over the past week. That's kind of nuts if you think about it. That's a lot of a particular card that I didn't think would be selling that much. But then I can look through as well and see that the law card from OP09, which I believe is the 1-cost searcher, has a lot of sales, so a lot of popularity with the purple Luffy list. But also purple blue Luffy in OP11 was announced, so I do think that might have raised a spike in this card as well. And I also saw another card. Where was it? It was maybe I had a different date on here. I think it was like the 15th. Yeah, there it was. Kami, as of like Wednesday, I believe it was, had a ton of sales, right? OP06 025 Kami. So going back to this and seeing the Kami, this has got a bunch of different versions, obviously, but the 1-cost Kami just being the searcher for, I believe it's Merfolk and Fishman Pirates. This card has been going up, and I believe it's because of the announcement of that new Fishman leader, which was Jinbei, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but I know there was a new Fishman leader that got announced, so this card started selling a lot. You know, the alternate art might have went up in price. The top player card for sure, like 700. I mean, that's crazy. That is crazy for that card. So I think that there's got to be there has to have been some sort of, as we can see right here on January 4th, or maybe the 3rd, the price really shot up to about $12 a piece for this card. So I think there's a lot of excitement behind that, and this feature, you know, using the spend report kind of allows you to see, you know, where the popular trends are going, like what cards are, you know, really being looked at and maybe purchased the most. So I thought this was a really neat feature that the dashboard had itself. It had another one, which is just the prices of all the mangas weird. Usually the photos were loading right here. Let me see if I go to the next. No, I don't know. I had the photos loading the last time. I think I might have accidentally done something, but yeah, it will show all the photos from highest and to lowest of, you know, every single manga. So it'll have like the reprint manga from the God Pack from PRB right here being just, you know, half the price of the original from OPO5 of the 10 cost Luffy. And then there was another one that was like a product report, being able to see, you know, which products were being purchased in large quantities. Now for this example right now, it's saying that this product contains Luffy. You know, I don't think we need it for it to be containing Luffy, but we can look over the different products. You know, you can go by filter by set names, by card colors, and look at how many purchases, see the amount of sales, you know, what amount was spent on certain cards. I think it's just a really interesting way to kind of bundle up some of these, you know, different things that it's really hard to keep track of just going into TCG Player and looking over, you know, one particular card. Like obviously we can see a spike here on January 7th, but I like that this is kind of like a one-stop shop for being able to kind of get some of that information. And like I said, this is all going to be made public in about a week's time. It should be posted on Odyssey Gaming's X account. I'll post that up here if you want to drop them a follow. I do think that there are some things personally that I would like to see as, you know, maybe quality of life features. After toying with it a little bit, the pricing tool, let's get rid of Kami really fast. So as far as this is concerned, you know, it says, would you like to price out a deck? Just copy and paste the numbers separated by commas. It's a lot to go through and type in every single number and every single card. So personally, I would love to see some sort of collaboration with, you know, a deck building website such as Eggman Events, and seeing that whenever you export a card, or export a deck from Eggman Events, it might be able to we can just copy paste that into this, you know, filter right here, and then it would bring up a list of all the different cards from the deck. I tried doing so earlier, and it's only related to the exact card number followed by a comma versus, you know, quantity, you know, adding quantity of card, you know, stuff like that. So I would love to see something like that in the future. For me personally, I think it would also be nice if, you know, when searching through a card, so for example, just searching up Teach, it's difficult in my brain to know exactly what card is what at all times. So maybe just being able to hover over the card, and it might give you like a picture to represent it, so that you can go, oh, this is the one I was looking for. Because I don't particularly know every single card number. I think that would just be a nice quality of life addition. But this is a beta version. I think it's really cool what they've got going on here and what they're working on. I'm looking forward to seeing this tool, you know, fully launched and have, you know, some really, you know, nice quality of life additions added to it. And there's a bunch of untitled pages over here on the left. I'm not going to click on them just because it looks as though they are working on some things. But it looks like this page itself, this dashboard, isn't just limited to the kind of 3 or 4 things that I went over. It looks as though it has a lot of stuff coming up in the future as well. So I'd love to hear your thoughts though, guys. I like anything and everything that comes out One Piece related that, you know, people are making, they're working on themselves, And I'm super excited to see stuff like this continue to be made, and for the One Piece community to continue having amazing tools to help make this game flourish and help the the market itself, you know, the ability of players and collectors to get their hands on cards, everything just better. So I love it. I'll see you guys in the next video, and peace.